Sinbad was just some handsome, broke Parthian kid whose crippled dad got drafted and died in the war, leaving him with a sick mom in a village that hated his guts. Eventually, he stumbled into a death trap dungeon, crawling with dragons, and came out packing jinn god powers that gave him courage to take a royal princess as a hostage. But before any of this, it all started with a woman giving birth while her husband holds her hand tightly, staying close to her the whole time. At the same time, a girl and an old man, along with other mages in different parts of the world, feel something is wrong with the Rook and quickly realize that someone very powerful has just been born. And it's been 1,000 years since someone this powerful was born. After the birth, a purple-haired man named Badr holds his newborn baby in his arms and thanks his wife Ezra for giving birth to a healthy baby boy. 3 years later, some men are celebrating in a bar after Parthia wins another war. One of them proudly says that every win brings more land and money to their country. Suddenly, 3 guards walk into the bar, and the place goes quiet as they walk up to Badr. They tell him they've been looking for him everywhere. Then, they drop 3 heavy bags of gold in front of him and say it's his reward for fighting in the war. However, Badr says he doesn't want the money. Instead, he tells them to use it to buy drinks for everyone in the bar before walking out, revealing that has lost his leg in the war. It turns out that Parthia was once a small territory, but has recently grown larger, and now threatens Rime Empire. Afterward, Badr sits in his fishing boat at sea and wonders about his country's future direction, before deciding to catch many fish to make Ezra smile. When he pulls up his net, he finds his 3-year-old son Sinbad inside, even though the child should not be on the boat, and Badr patiently keeps Sinbad safe as the boy climbs around the net. A storm suddenly hits, and Badr tries hard to paddle their boat away from it, but the wind and waves are too strong. Just then, Sinbad tells his father to go the other way instead. Badr listens, and they manage to get out of the storm safely. After they're safe, he looks at Sinbad and tells him that one day he will change the world. 2 years later, a group of soldiers are chasing a man through the trees. The man runs until he reaches the edge of a cliff, and without stopping, he jumps off to get away from them. At the port, Badr proudly shows off the big pile of fish he caught, but then his stomach starts growling from hunger. Sinbad walks over and hands him some lunch. While Badr eats, Sinbad takes the chance to say that he's 5 years old now and should be allowed to go fishing too. But Badr says, nope, you need to go to kindergarten first. Sinbad starts crying and says he just wants to help his dad. Hearing this, Badr thanks his son and promises that once Sinbad is a bit older, he can come fishing with him. Soon, some angry, nasty villagers come to bully the one-legged man for not participating in the war. Damn, this village is so messed up. Apparently, Parthia changed its name to New Parthia Empire after its massive growth and begins fighting the Rime Empire. Parthia loses many battles against Rem, and the people suffer from low money after they have been banking big money the past 2 years. While money problems create hard times for everyone, the people cannot accept anyone who refuses to support the war. When the villagers threaten Badr, he laughs and says he has no interest in war. So the villagers beat him until he loses consciousness and his lunch gets ruined. Sinbad cries while trying to wake his father, and after Badr checks that Sinbad is safe, he eats his sandy lunch anyway. Sinbad asks why his father did not fight back and calls him uncool, and that evening, Badr sends Sinbad to get water from the well. While Sinbad is away, Ezra asks Badr if he accepts being called a traitor and wonders how they will survive without community support. Suddenly, Sinbad comes shouting and tells his father about an unconscious man outside. In the morning, the man wakes up inside Sinbad's house and introduces himself as Darius, a merchant whose ship was destroyed, and Badr offers to let him stay despite Ezra's discomfort. Sinbad doesn't waste any time and bangs on the man's head as if he is checking for a good watermelon. He touches his yellow hair and asks about his color. Ezra becomes worried, but Darius does not get angry and asks Sinbad if he has ever traveled outside their village. Sinbad explains that he has never left home, so Darius tells him that people around the world have different hair colors and customs. Every night, Darius tells Sinbad stories that make him more curious about the world. In the morning, Darius prepares to leave, and Ezra asks him to stay until his wounds heal, but he refuses and thanks her. Just then, 2 soldiers arrive looking for a spy and push past Ezra into the house, but but Darius kills both soldiers before they can enter further. Sinbad wakes up and sees his friend covered in blood with 2 dead guards nearby, and Darius grabs Sinbad as a hostage while Ezra cannot help, and sees that no one from the villagers wants to help saving her kid. Sinbad asks why someone so kind would do such terrible things, and Darius explains that this violence shows his real personality. Badr arrives and gets on his knees begging Darius to release Sinbad, while promising that Darius will be spared if he surrenders and shares his information about the Reem Empire. He refuses to comply with Badr's request and betraying his country. With no other choice, Badr suddenly pulls his hidden sword and takes down Darius. He announces that no one can harm his family. The authorities accuse Badr of hiding a spy and force him to go to the Parthivia capital to serve in the military. The soldiers are rough with him as they take him away. Sinbad runs after his father, but the villagers stop him and tell him to stay back. Sinbad gets upset and yells at them, saying no one should talk badly about his father. Badr then shows everyone the scars and bruises on his body under his clothes, saying that war gave him these wounds, and this is what war means, the war they desperately want. He tells Sinbad to be brave like a man and to take care of his mother. A few months later, soldiers return with Badr's sword inside a coffin, but they never bring back his body. Time passes, and 9 years later, Sinbad is now 14 years old. Meanwhile, a group of soldiers prepare for battle as their captain stands in front of them and tells them that capturing a dungeon is their only hope left. He says they must put an end to the war with their longtime enemy, the Reem Empire. His words fire up the soldiers like a speech from Erwin Smith, filling them with courage and making the soldiers march straight toward the dungeon gate. It's revealed that this dungeon was first discovered in a strait located in the southwest between 2 powerful nations. Before long, people started calling it the dungeon, but soon this strange and unknown place became a battle goal for both Parthivia and Reem. Both sides wanted to capture it for themselves, and more than 10,000 people were sent inside to try, but not a single one ever returned. Meanwhile, a girl and a little kid arrive at an old city that looks like it's from Egypt, and the place is called Kontastia, which seems like a pretty big city. The old man pulling their cart tells them that this place is far away from any government rules, so they should sell their stuff fast and go back home quickly. While he's talking, 2 rough guys stop their horse cart, and then more people start showing up one by one. The men tell them to drop their stuff and run if they don't want trouble. Turns out this group is just another bunch of robbers who ran away from joining the army. Since the cart is full of women and a child, the robbers decide to take the chicks with them for some showtime later tonight. All of a sudden, Sinbad shows up out of nowhere and launches himself right at the leader of the group, attacking him without holding back, then takes down the rest of the gang one by one like they're nothing more than training dummies. After he finishes beating all of them, the pretty mommies come over and thank him a lot for saving their lives. Instead of accepting their praise, Sinbad asks if they are really moving goods while traveling with an old man. That's when the girls explain to him that their father and brothers have all gone off to fight in the war. Seeing the perfect opportunity among all those hot ladies, Sinbad asks them to hire him as their companion, since he doesn't have a job. The girls kindly refuse because a guard will join them sooner, but they tell Sinbad that he should take some of their goods as thanks for helping them out. As one of the girls walks over to the cart to grab something for him, she opens one of the barrels to find a nasty and creepy looking guy sleeping inside it. They are all in shock, but once the man opens his eyes, he shouts at the lady for opening the LED without his permission.
Please don't open without permission!
Later on, Sinbad is seen walking beside that same person, who turns out to be a traveler named Yunnan. Sinbad is helping him out by letting him stay at his place for a while. Soon enough, the 2 of them reach Sinbad's hometown, a quiet and small place known as Tyson Village. When they arrive, Sinbad tells the villagers that he didn't manage to get the job, but he brought back some fresh fruits for everyone to enjoy. After that, they go inside Sinbad's house, where his sick mother welcomes them them warmly, but out of nowhere, her condition suddenly gets even worse, leaving everyone worried. Later that same night, in a distant and quiet area, a commander shows up along with 2 of his soldiers. Their leader, who is known for having a really bad temper, is named Dragul. The next morning, Sinbad wakes up early and gets ready to leave because he has a job carrying cargo down at the port. Before heading out, he turns to Yunnan and asks what his plans are for the day, and Yunnan replies that he's planning to take a look around the city and then continue on with his travels. After Sinbad walks out, Yunnan quietly asks Sinbad's mom if she's been sick for a long time. She tells him that she feels like she's a burden on Sinbad, but deep down she believes that Sinbad is just like his father, who always used to say that he had some kind of special power. Right at that moment, a chubby woman bursts into their house and shouts that Sinbad is getting beaten up by Dragul, the same angry commander from the Western Region's military unit. Dragul starts beating up Sinbad right in the middle of the village, all because Sinbad has been ignoring the military draft notice that has been sent to him many times. A kid tries to intervene, but one of the soldiers kicks him away. Dragul tells the poor kid that in 5 years he will have to serve their country and enlist in the army, and no one can escape it. But Sinbad stands up and says he refuses to be a tool for war, explaining that his own father went to fight and never came back, so no matter what happens, he won't follow the same path. After hearing that, Dragul angrily asks him if he has a mother, warning him that refusing military service will be treated as capital treason and will also put his own mother at risk of punishment. Then Dragul changes the topic and tells the people about a mysterious dungeon, saying that there is a power hidden inside it that goes far beyond what any human can understand. After that, Dragul and his soldiers leave the village, marching out without saying another word. Later, Sinbad turns to Yunnan and says that he won't go to the dungeon, not for his mother and not even for anyone else in the village. He just doesn't want to be part of it. Yunnan looks at Sinbad with a serious expression and tells him that maybe he should try to become a king and change this country for the better, along with the whole world. He tells him that the tall tower has something very important inside, something he really wants Sinbad to discover for himself. After saying that, Yunnan suddenly vanishes without a trace. Left with those words, Sinbad makes up his mind and decides to head for the tower. Knowing that there is no escape, his mother hands him his father's sword and hopes for him to get back to her safely. Meanwhile, Dragul is overwhelmed at the fact that he will go inside the dungeon with 100 civilian men only, while the elite 1,000 soldiers who went inside didn't come back again. He complains that he is sent only to die inside the dungeon, as a member of the Dragul noble family, to calm the citizens' anger. He knows that his older brothers would have never received any orders like this. Princess Serendine tells him to not say those words in the royal palace carelessly. She asks him to not be stiff and call her Seren, which he refuses. She then reminds him of how he was following her like a duckling when they were young, embarrassing him. She tells him to be careful in the dungeon, and he promised her that he will not let her name be tarnished, and thanked her for treating him like one of her kin. In the morning, when Dragul's army starts preparing near the tower, Sinbad suddenly appears out of nowhere and surprises everyone in provoking Dragul. Without wasting a second, he rushes straight toward the entrance of the dungeon with the help of Yunnan, also known as the Holy Gate. It is said that if someone can obtain the power hidden inside the dungeon, they have the chance to become a true king. Once he gets inside, he finds himself in front of a strange globe. He tries to hold it with his hand, but then wakes up inside a dungeon room. He rushed outside to see a magnificent view of the interior of the tower. He sees a huge number of dragons flying and crawling all around the place, creating a terrifying sight. But then, out of all of them, he notices one strange and mysterious dragon heading straight toward him. So he quickly tries to dodge it without thinking twice. However, instead of chasing Sinbad, the dragon turns its attention toward the military soldiers beneath him and begins attacking them fiercely. Dragul tries to fight back by slaying as many dragons as he can, shouting at his army to keep moving forward no matter what happens, but then he freezes in shock as he watches the dragons easily wiping out his soldiers, and in just a moment, all 100 of his men are gone, completely destroyed like they were nothing. Afterward, one of the mysterious dragons starts attacking him, but he tries to scare off the dragon using his toy sword which he bought selling labubus. All of a sudden, Dragul realizes he's trapped with a deep cliff right behind him, and the giant monster dragon getting ready to strike. Just as the beast is about to attack, Sinbad throws a spear at the dragon and slays it, saving Dragul at the very last second. After that, Sinbad looks at him and asks how he even managed to enter the dungeon before him. But instead of answering properly, Dragul starts acting rude like he always does and says that he's a soldier who lives in battle, trying to act tough even though he was clearly terrified and almost wet himself just a moment ago. But Sinbad calls him a kid to avoid the question and not give a proper answer, which annoys Dragul enough that he finally decides to introduce himself. He says that he's a general from Parthivia, the youngest member of the Dragul family, and the commander of the Western Region military unit. He proudly says his full name is Dragul Noel Henrius, but Sinbad just laughs and says that's way too long, suggesting that Dracon would be a shorter and cooler name instead. They start arguing and teasing each other about names until, suddenly, a massive dragon flies right over their heads, making them both duck and quickly hide inside a nearby cave. After things calm down, they begin following the giant dragon from a distance, both wondering if that one might be the king of all dragons. It turns out that the king of dragons actually eats any other dragon that it doesn't like, and the way it acts reminds Sinbad of a human king, which makes Dragul really angry and offended. After watching the chaos, Sinbad tells Dragul that this dungeon is a place where people are forced to fight for their lives, and that even they are being tested right now, just like everyone else who enters. Hearing those words, Dragul suddenly says that Sinbad has earned the great honor of becoming his loyal subordinate. Then, without hesitation, he orders Sinbad to act as a decoy to grab the attention of the king dragon, while he himself tries to sneak around and reach the exit gate. Sinbad gets really angry after hearing that, but Dragul just shrugs and says he'll make sure to arrange a reward if Sinbad dies during the mission. Sinbad looks at him with disbelief and calls him a freak, asking how many people he thinks have been sent off like that and never came back. After their brief argument, Dragul leaves him and Sinbad notices the hot springs bursting inside the tower, and had a good idea. Dragul sneaks around and begins fighting his way through the battlefield toward the exit gate. Once he gets there, he demands the gate open for him, but nothing happens, and the door stays shut. That's when the king dragon suddenly spots Dragul and growls loudly while giving him the bombastic side-eye and starts walking toward him with heavy steps. Dragul chooses to run, but instead he changes his mind and starts getting dramatic while groveling on the ground. The Dragon King begins charging a powerful attack in his mouth, ready to blast him, while the ugly loser is begging not to die yet. Damn! Just use your legs and run like any sane person. What an idiot. He remembers a moment from his past with the royal princess Serendine. He came to say congratulations to the engagement of the princess to his older brother Lieutenant General Barbarossa, while Serendine appears to be disappointed in him. But before the attack lands, Sinbad rushes in just in time and yells at Dragul to snap out of it and wake up. Afterwards, Sinbad grabs Dragul's shield and goes to fight with the Dragon King. He uses all the hot water spring bursts as his advantage, riding it with the shield, and slashes the king dragon's body, which leads him to throw electric shock attacks. After that, Sinbad lands a strong hit right on the Dragon King's head, which completely freezes the giant beast in place. In just a second, the Dragon King is destroyed instantly, vanishing before their eyes. Afterwards, Sinbad and Dragul take the double glowing essence they received from defeating the king dragon and place it onto the door, which finally unlocks, and opens for them. Dragul asks Sinbad about his identity after seeing him taking down the Dragon King by himself, and Sinbad introduces himself as a normal sailor. Nothing more and nothing less. They continue their way to the top while going through many obstacles and traps and monster battles. Dragul notices that despite Sinbad appears to be a reckless man, but he is always analyzing the situation and chooses the best action at the right moment, like he is riding the waves of fate itself. They reach the top of the tower and find a big building, but before they get inside, they both argue over who have the hardest and the longest Excalibur between them.
What? Bro, what are you talking about, man?
They step inside and find themselves in a room filled with ancient, dusty objects. But the moment Sinbad touches one of them, everything around them starts to glow brightly. Then a powerful genie named Bayal appears right in front of them. Seeing this amazing sight, Sinbad suddenly realizes that this must be what Yunnan was talking about, as this is the power that can make someone a true king. Seeing two men, Bayal asked who wants to become the king. Suddenly, both Sinbad and Dragul say that they want to become the king, and they start arguing over it. After that, both Sinbad and Dragul pull out their swords, and a genie tells them to prove the skills of his next master. Sinbad jumps into battle and fights really well, showing quick moves and strong strikes, but Dragul also keeps up and fights just as fiercely. At one point, Dragul knocks Sinbad's sword out of his hand and almost finishes him off. But Sinbad grabs the blade with his bare hands and tells him that this is not a fight to prove who have the best swordsmanship skills. Ignoring the pain, he punches Dragul hard in the face. Even though Dragul is starting to lose consciousness, he remembers his time with the Princess Serendine and promises her to conquer the dungeon and get back alive. He refuses to give up and goes to fistfight Sinbad, but Sinbad punches his ugly face left and right and finishes him with a punch to the jaw. Dragul sees a flashback of how much a loser he is after listening to his elder brother telling him that his engagement to Serendine is only for political reasons and he actually doesn't love her at all. Dragul doesn't accept defeat and charges at Sinbad with one final punch, putting everything he has into it. But in the end, Sinbad's sucker punches him and leaves him unconscious on the ground. The genie makes his choice, and he officially approves Sinbad as his true master. As a reward, the genie gives Sinbad a special symbol on his sword, which holds the great power Sinbad had been wishing for all along. The Ball dungeon has been conquered and it disappears, leaving Sinbad with bags of treasure items. A group of soldiers from the military unit appears and they demand that Sinbad hand over all the rewards and the powerful items he gained inside the dungeon. Sinbad hands them the short stick and tells them to go flick themselves using the short stick he gave them. Suddenly, Yunnan appears again and asks Sinbad if he's planning to use the incredible power he just gained. Yunnan then helps him summon the genie once more, and this time Sinbad asks the genie for great power, something strong enough to screw these ugly excuses of soldiers. With that, the genie unleashes a powerful attack that wipes out all the military units in an instant. After everything settles down, Yunnan uses his magic to send Sinbad back home along with the treasure bags. When Sinbad arrives, he finds his mother lying weakly, taking her final breaths. She tries to speak to him and share her last words before passing away in a heartbreaking moment, leaving Sinbad alone in this world. The news of Sinbad, a 14-year-old boy conquering a dungeon, spread like wildfire, encouraging the citizens to tell the royal family to go flick itself, making Sinbad the most hated person to the royal family. Sometime later, Sinbad stopped the royal Princess Serendine from abusing a citizen. She tries to isekai him, but he pushes her and exposes her massive distraction cannons. He captures her as a hostage, not for political reasons, but because he secretly likes the way her cannons look, enjoying the sound of them bouncing around. He takes her with him to the sea and she begs for him to not defile her royal maiden body. Subscribe now! And stay tuned for the continuation to find out what will Sinbad do later, and thanks for watching.